Yo.
Okay, Jay, what you watching?
You know what I'm watching.
Oh, that Malcolm thing.
Hmm.
Oh, how many times have you watched? I know you said you just finished watching six earlier today, unless you just replaying it again.
I put it in a program and I spliced all six together into one file.
Oh, dang, that's what 6 hours. That must be like a 5 or 6 hour file then.
Yeah, and I just keep watching it over. I'm studying it, and I actually I play it while I'm asleep, so I can, but not too loud, just loud enough, so it can get in my subconscious.
Yeah. I know what you mean when it comes to the subconscious thing.
Yeah, but we was right about because a whole lot of people were saying the same thing that Malcolm was losing his mind and he wanted to die.
Yeah, I know. I remember that conversation that time. I don't know if it was a few months ago or a year ago or 2 years ago. We had a conversation about him and his last days and how he was just like, he was just there was a word for that or whatever. Suicidal, but he was just like he wasn't there. Like he was already dead or whatever in a way because he wasn't cognizant of anything. He was just doing something he normally wouldn't do on his last day of his death. They were saying.
Yeah, that's the last video that I uploaded on YouTube with both of us talking.
Oh, okay. That come. I'm gonna send that. I'm gonna send. Cause I remember one time we had a conversation. I sent to the Andre, and he really loved it. But this is a different conversation that we had about Malcolm, right?
Yeah, this was
So I'm gonna send that one to Andre too tonight, then, so I can get his thoughts.
yeah, this one we got a little bit more into details of his psychological gene in his family. I mean, we really got deep into it in this one. Cause see, this was the one which started off talking about my dad having dementia,
Yeah.
and so it went into that conversation. And when I sat and I listened to that one, I'm like, ooh, I gotta do this and upload it, because when and actually I didn't see this documentary until I uploaded it. And I uploaded that video already onto my YouTube, and then I saw this documentary because the only reason why I was even going to get Netflix was to see this documentary. Yeah, because in this conversation, like I said, we started off talking about my dad having dementia, and then we went into that. But this time, when we went into it, we got all in Malcolm's head. We was comparing the psychological problems that his mother had, and his brother had, and his daughter had, and how pressure um, forces them to like fall apart, and how government uses pressure. After they study you for an extent amount of time, because see, the government knew about Malcolm's mother not being able to take pressure.
Right.
And then when, like I was saying, when his brother Reginald, his brother's name was Reginald, when they had Elijah Muhammad had suspended him for 6 months, his brother Reginald lost his mind.
I didn't know that, but I didn't know about his brother. I knew about his mom.
Hmm. Yep. So that, like I said on there, it lingers in his family. It's something that when the littles get under a lot of pressure, they fall apart.
And that includes the daughters too.
Hmm.
But also you got to factor in that had they not went through so much crazy stuff from his father being killed by the KKK and then thrown on the train track and getting ripped apart by that and so much stuff, maybe he would have been sane too. I mean, just imagine if that happened to your family being wiped out like that.
I mean, those are events that happen, but that doesn't have anything to do with your not being able to handle pressure.
Yeah.
It's just your ability to handle pressure is um, strictly unraveled when certain events in your life come up.
Right.
I mean, that's just like a couple of days ago, I was at this place named Silk with Richard and there's this other older guy named Latimer, the one who was helping me, and it was these two sisters. Cause see, as I told you before, I don't even like bars. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so I'm sitting at the bar with them, and we're sitting there eating, and these two black women come in, and they sit on my left side, and the one that was sitting closest to me, she kept like bumping into me, like rubbing up against me and nudging me, so she was like trying to get my attention. And so Richard was sitting on my right side, and so I had moved over a little closer to Richard, and he said, "What's the matter?" And I told him, I said, "Women irritate me. I said, these women out here irritate me." I said, they're too aggressive. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so I don't even remember how the conversation came up, but we were sitting there eating, and the whole subject of a woman cooking for you had came up, and I was telling them I've gotten to the point I don't even like a woman telling me when I eat, you know. And I had brought up what I went through with Salam. I said, after having somebody damn near starve you to death and not buy food, that right there is somebody who knew that they had the power if I ate or not, whether I ate or starved, and I was telling them that now even somebody telling me there's food downstairs on the table for you, I mean, even that irritates me because now you're trying to tell me when to eat. You understand what I'm saying?
Right. It's a control thing.
Yeah, I say so. It's in the same aspect, And so I was telling them that I don't need no woman cooking for me anymore. I'm never gonna put myself in the position to where I have to depend on someone to feed me, or due to the fact that Salam almost starved me to death. I promised myself that I was never going to put myself in the position to where I'm not able to feed myself. I was never going to go through that ever again.
Right.
And so the woman who was sitting next to me, who was brushing up against me, well, if you don't want a woman cooking for you, then you need to be by yourself. I said, absolutely. I looked at her. I said, you goddamn right. You know, and so it all kind of blew up because she wouldn't be quiet, and I'm at the point now when I say be quiet, I mean that shit. You know, and she just kept saying that's a woman's job to feed her man. I said, you want to know something? Like I said, is I'm not going to depend on anybody to feed me, because like I said, I have to find out a way to feed myself. And so as we was leaving, it kind of blew up, because she's a black woman, she's got and she's a Georgian, and so you just need to be by yourself, blah 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 blah. And I turned Richard and them. I said, "Are y'all ready to go?" And that was funny to them. I'm like, you know what? I don't see a goddamn thing funny. We need to leave, or I smack the hell out this hoe.
Right.
You know, because after what I went through, that's exactly the reason why that I'm the way that I am right now. To have somebody just literally starve you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I remember.
To the point you come out here and you like 205 or 210, and then somebody starve you and your weight drop all the way down to 174 fucking pounds.
Dang.
Now, even though you take advantage of that, well, shit, I'm just gonna get my body back in shape, because to tell you the truth, my body's in the best shape I've ever been in my life. But the whole thing is, because of that experience, I'm never going to put myself in a position to where I have to depend on anybody to feed me, and I'm never going to put myself in the position to where a person is able to starve me. That was my point, But the reason why I bring all of that up is because the way that I responded, you know, it was it was shocking to Richard and them. It was very
Right.
shocking to them. But like I was saying earlier, Southern people, and I don't knock this for them. Southern people are overly sensitive, and I think it's because of the Southern upbringing, and it's this fear that's been passed down to them and programmed into them to watch how you say certain things. That shit all comes from that that racist Southern upbringing. Now,
Yeah, yeah, I agree.
yeah, now here's a guy who not only comes from Chicago, but he is black and Indian mixed, and he comes from a family that is bluntly honest. Bluntly, I mean, just we will lay down and die before we not say how we feel, whether it's right or wrong. We're gonna say what we feel. Period. And singularly, that's how I am. I'm just gonna say it. You just got to kill me or whatever. And so when we was leaving, Richard was saying, "Man, you gotta be careful out there. That offends people." I told Richard, I said, "I don't give a damn. I don't care, man." I said, I'm at a point in my life right now, Rich. I just don't want to be bothered. With these women out here are too aggressive. I said, and I have a wall up around me right now, and I'm not gonna let it down. Because every time I start letting it down a little bit and start opening up to somebody, it's always some bullshit. It is always some bullshit that comes up. If I ain't dealing with somebody being two-faced, and I'm dealing with some jealousy, I'm always dealing with something, you know. And so what the sister told me, you just need to be by yourself. Absolutely. This is the reason why I told her. Absolutely. I absolutely need to be alone. Because I'm at a point in my life where people just get on my fucking nerves. You know,
Right.
you know, just get on my fucking nerves. But I'll also bring that up because of, in comparison, um, Reginald, Malcolm's brother, felt that he needed to be a part of something which involved other human beings, which is dangerous. Malcolm was the same way. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
And so when they are expiated from the group, you might as well say, and other human beings, in terms of the brotherhood and and the closeness and all of those dangerous attachments, when that is suddenly taken from you due to the fact that you are unable to enjoy your own company, and you are the type of person who feels as though he has to be a part of something or have people around him consistently, there's a big chance that you're gonna lose it.
Right. Yeah. If people ain't around and you gonna break frame or whatever, and if that's all it takes, then you won't be good for nothing.
hmm And that's what had Malcolm writing that letter to Elijah Muhammad, practically begging him to accept him back into the nation. Because even in there he was saying, I wouldn't speak or anything. I'd be working inside the temples. See, Malcolm had this weakness to where he felt like he had to be around people all the time, and he needed people around him. And see, what people don't understand about me is that I don't have to have people around me all the damn time.
Right.
I'm able to enjoy my own company. And if people find that offensive, that's too bad. Instead of spending all this time analyzing me, why don't you analyze yourself? You know, be,
Yeah, because people be like, they be shocked or whatever when I tell them, like, I do just like you. I do pretty much everything by myself unless I have to be around somebody. And
hmm
it's not my, growing up that wasn't my choice, well, but it's like the way my life played out or whatever. So when I tell people I'm going here or going there by myself, they're like, huh? You ain't got no girlfriend or you ain't got your homeboys or whatever? I'm like, no.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people, it's like people don't know how to, people don't practice self-love or whatever. You know, they don't know how to love themselves to where, you know, they can enjoy their own company like what you're saying.
Right.
People like us, we didn't have no choice but to do that or do that growing up, especially, you know, growing up and when we was younger or whatever, because we was treated like crap. So, you know,
Mm-hmm.
that's something that we learned. I'm grateful that we learned it, but it's like it's sad that we had to learn it in the circumstances we had to learn it in, though. And you know, the irony of it all is that people like us, we are what other people need or whatever, you know. But it's like it's crazy how that is or whatever. Other people need us or whatever, you know, as far as the wisdom that we have, but yet, you know, we're not around them or whatever. You get what I'm trying to say?
Well, what are the main things? The only way that you're going to be able to maintain that wisdom, you have to remain an introvert. You know, because if
Yeah,
you constantly have people around you, um, all the time, consistently, you know, different personalities and stuff like that. You know, because this is all new, very new to me. I've never in my life started living with people who are renting rooms. I mean, these are total strangers, and I'm too much of an eccentric to be around people. You know what I'm saying? Because people don't get me. You know what I'm saying?
right,
You know, I'm respectable, I'm nice, and when you try to fuck over me, you see something else. And then due to the fact that I'm honest and I come straight forward at your ass, I can't be worried about how somebody else is going to be looking at the way that I react. And I don't give a fuck about that shit. You know what I'm saying?
right,
You can't worry about that. You know, especially somebody who was totally blind. I don't have time for this shit, man. And so that's why I was telling Richard, you know, that's offensive to people. I said, you know what, Richard, I don't care. I said because number one, she wasn't even in our conversation. You know, she jumped in the conversation herself. I said, but she is absolutely right. I do need to be alone. I said because right now women get on my fucking nerves. I said even when I go to you, go with you to the Kingdom Hall. One of the reasons why I don't make any more comments. You know how they go through the lessons and they ask people comments. I don't know if you have been to a Kingdom
I
Hall,
never been to that.
but what they do is they go over the lesson and there's they go over a paragraph within the lesson and there's two questions below the paragraph, and the person asks questions and people raise their hand to answer it. And so I used to give some real profound comments according to them. I'm not saying it's profound. They say it is. It's no boasting or what they say vanity or arrogance and all that bullshit people be talking. But what I noticed is that every single time I made a comment, the women at the Kingdom Hall would flock to me. You know, and these are the women that I saw checking me out in the first place. You know, who didn't approach me the time before because I didn't say anything. You know, now people would hide behind, oh, I really like your comment. I really like your comment. Your comment was nice, but they squeezing your hand and they making these sexual gestures. You know, in the way that they hold your hand. You know, and you look in their eyes and you say, you ain't thanking me. You know, you're not complimenting me because of my comment. You know, you approaching me because you think I'm handsome or whatever the case may be, and this is supposed to be a spiritual thing.
Right,
You know, so I told Richard I'm not making any more comments whenever I go. I said because it doesn't do anything but attract attention that I really don't want. You know, now most men would say, "Oh, what's wrong with you? You gay?" Hell no, I ain't gay. It's just
right,
I'm at a point in my life right now. Attention from women just irritates the hell out of me. It irritates me, especially women that you can perceive is got an ulterior motive, regardless of what comes out of their mouth. And most of these women, just as well as men do it, they hide behind the shield of their religion. You know, "Oh, I really like your compliments. So who are you studying with?" "I'm studying with Richard." "Oh, okay, because I was gonna have you study with me." No, no, you was not. And what type of religion would allow a female to study with a male? You don't want to get together with me and study. No, 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 no Bible. I ain't stupid. Now people
They
can
want to
say,
study something else.
yeah. Now people can say you just being conceited. You know what? Let me tell you something. You can throw whatever title you want, but I'm almost 60 years old. I've been on this planet for a long time, and I've been with a lot of women. Now I'm not saying I know women conclusively, entirely, but I've been on this planet long enough to know the basic fundamentals of when a woman is interested. You know, and I told him that I've gotten to the point where I just don't want to be bothered.
Right.
You know, and then I moved here, and I thought I found somebody I can just open up to and just talk to. You know, and then I got to deal with this jealousy shit. The next thing you know, the energy is bad. Oh, here we go with this energy shit. Now, this ain't nothing but salam in another form. You know,
So
and
now 2.0.
yeah, everything you do is wrong. Everything you say is wrong. Everything you feel is wrong. And the only thing you doing is speaking your mind, standing up for yourself. That's all you doing, because that's exactly who the hell you are. Excuse me for not being a fake motherfucker like everybody else around me. Oh, two-faced ass cracker. Always want to put on a show. "Mr. Davey, you was at work mad about something. Might I ask what you mad at?" He always does that in front of her.
Right.
That's why I told him tonight, you putting on a show. "Are we all right, Mr. David?" "No, motherfucker, we ain't all right." I said, and you putting on a show, because he does this in front of her. He never approaches me when I'm by myself. Now, if you that interested, if we good or not, how come you just can't walk down the hallway and knock on my door?
Right.
He has to do that in front of her. That's why I'm saying I'm gonna pay up what I owe this month. I'm out. I don't need this shit, because if it's one thing that I know about myself, I damn near killed a pit bull the other night and ran up on me when I was walking home from work. Sure did. And
Say, what, do you have a gun on you or something?
no, I grabbed it by its throat and picked it up and slammed it. And I slammed it so hard it got up and ran. You know, but all at the same time, I'm constantly reading myself. And when this dog kept rushing me, and I kept bending down, the third time that I bent down, I gestured him to come at me. You know, and then when he came at me, I caught him. I caught him by his throat. You know, and I was choking him first on the ground, and then I picked him up and I slammed him real hard. And the dog just got up. You know, the dog screamed and it got up and it ran down the street. But you want to know something?
Right.
When the dog was trying to attack me, it was barking, of course. And you know, this area, this particular area over here has a lot of dogs. And as long as that dog was barking, I was hearing other dogs bark. And then as soon as I slammed that dog and that dog screeched real loud, when the dog ran off and I picked up my bag and I started slowly walking to the house, reading myself, I'm like, damn, ooh, I actually gestured this. I wanted this dog to attack me,
Yeah, that ain't good.
you know? And so when I was walking, I noticed the dogs in the neighborhood that were barking, they were howling like the dog screeched. And this was 3 a.m. in the morning in these dark country roads. And I'm walking, and I had this feeling in me like, I'm a fucking animal. You know, because if there's one thing that I'm not gonna allow, I done came out here. You know what I'm saying? I'm in a place
Right.
that I've never been. I don't know anything about this place. I'm slowly learning, and I would rather learn slowly than quickly. Because if you learn too quickly, there's there's an opportunity to get yourself in trouble. So it's wherever you go, it's best to learn and play slowly. But considering everything that I've suffered since I've been out here, I knew I know exactly why I had zero, because I don't have a fear factor anyway. But when I gestured that dog to come at me, I said to myself, "Whoa! Now I've never did this, and this is a pit bull. You know what I'm saying? This is a pit."
Right.
And when I walked home and I heard those dogs howling, Kathy had said it was almost like they could also feel that dog's pain.
Man.
And when I was walking, I didn't feel anything on the inside. Darkness. This whole goddamn planet belonged to me as far as I was concerned. I mean, that's the way I felt. I felt like I'm going to walk any fucking place I want to, and everybody better watch the fuck out. You know, so I had to go into meditation on that. And I said, okay, what is this? Is this the lack of fear? Because it didn't feel like that. Of course, there was no fear, but this was something else. Why did I gesture the dog to come at me? You know, and what I saw in meditation is just strictly the warrior spirit. That's all it is. You know, being a mixture of the African warrior and the Indian warrior, but it even goes deeper than that. You know, it's the thing of you're willing to do whatever it takes in order to survive, and at the same time, you're not really concerned if you survive or not. You know, and plus, it's has everything to do with being exhausted, psychologically exhausted, emotionally exhausted. You know, just exhausted on a whole lot of different levels. You know,
Right.
so that was pretty interesting.
Man, that's wild, man. Well, shoot, most people be scared of them pit bulls, but shoot, you didn't care.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm. I'm telling you, man. Since my accident, it's been different. You know, that's one of the reasons why. Um, Even after that night, I noticed that part of myself, and which is the necessary evil. I, that right there told me you better hurry up and get off to yourself and get away from people that rub you the wrong way. Especially since me being an introvert and a recluse and a focused man, I don't do anything. I don't bother nobody. I go to work. I write. I rest. I go to work. I write. I rest.
Right.
You know, and then when you are able to open up to somebody and that is betrayed, you know, it's it's very disheartening, and it makes you say, okay, well, I'm just not going to open up to anybody then. How about that? But then when you become closed a little bit more extra than everybody else is, then you're giving off negative energy. Then you're doing this. Then so one way or the other, it's going to be you. It's going to always be you. And so when it's like that, it's best to just go off to yourself.
Yep. No matter what you do, it's 'cause the blame gonna go back to you in most people's eyes.
Hmm. You know, but that was Malcolm's problem. You know, but Malcolm, as far as the Nation of Islam was concerned, but you know, even when he had got the Muslim mosque incorporated and he had followers around him, he had and then when he went overseas, he was trying to gain allies and everything. Um, if you notice, Malcolm never told you exactly what his ulterior motive was, but I think that it was rooted in what the Europeans were actually afraid of, because when he was going around trying to get everybody who had a issue with with um, with the Western power structure, I'm pretty certain that that made them think about when Hannibal went around and he got the Gauls and the Spaniards and everybody together who had a problem with Rome to go against Rome.
Right.
So, due to the fact that Malcolm was very intelligent and fearless, um, the only way that they were able to stop him was to attack him on a very personal level, which was um, attacking his fear of security for his family and using that as pressure, heartbreak. He was heartbroken because Elijah Muhammad um, cut him loose. He tried to reconcile his differences, and even though they got in the way of his letters getting to Elijah Muhammad, he probably perceived it as Elijah Muhammad rejected him, and so when he struck out at Elijah Muhammad through the media, he didn't do anything but hurt himself even more. However, me and I think you and I talked about this. I think that Malcolm should have just didn't say nothing. I just think he just should have just walked away
Walked away from who? From what?
from the whole thing. Once he had um, was permanently kicked out of the Nation of Islam. Because I bring that up because even though he designed the Muslim Mosque Incorporated, when he sent that letter to Elijah Muhammad, that was already after he had formed Muslim Mosque Incorporated. So if you form the Muslim Mosque Incorporated, then why would you send Elijah Muhammad a letter and ask him to accept you back into the Nation of Islam when you've already established another Muslim organization? So that right there was telling me through this documentary that even though he designed that Muslim Mosque Incorporated, he didn't really take it seriously. And it made me think of how Ozzie Davis was saying that had Elijah Muhammad would have told him that he had forgiven him, Malcolm would have dropped everything and went off and running. And so that's a combination of someone who was rejected by his father. He was hurt by his father. He needed to be a part of something, you know. So with all of that, I mean, it's a deep study, because if you're the type of individual where you always have to have people around you, if that's a need for you, it's dangerous, you know. It could be dangerous, because people will disappoint you.
Yeah, yeah, we all know that.
hmm Yeah, people will disappoint you, and so that's why when that tiger had jumped off the boat at the end of the Life of Pi, and the way that
Right, yeah, yeah.
yeah, and the way that tiger just walked off and went into the woods and went on about his business, I said that's me right there. That's exactly the way you have to be with human beings unless you're close to them. But
Right,
it's like his father had said that tiger is not your friend, and so that right there showed me just because I come in contact with you and I work with you or live with you, That's why I'm telling you years ago. Unless I'm close to you, I don't. You know, it's easy for me to to just walk away.
Right.
Because I'm not going to allow anyone to be close to me unless I'm absolutely certain that this person is going to be in my life for the rest of my life.
Sure, that's man. If we all had that mentality, we would have alleviated so much pain.
But you have to go through disappointment in order to even come to that conclusion, to that perception.
Yeah.
So you have to walk through the fire. See, because I'm at a point right now to where as much as I love Georgia, if I had to go back to Las Vegas, I wouldn't miss this place. I'd just get up and go.
That's because you haven't bonded to it. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, yeah. And I want to, but all at the same time, there's a part of me that can't identify with my purpose here, but all at the same time, there's also a part of me that knows that I need to be here because of the humility of the place. And see, outside of the social arena, you might as well say, what I get out here is a lot of humility. The simplicity of everything. After being in Las Vegas for like 32 years, where there's always something going on. It's beautiful to be in a place to where a lot is going on, but a lot ain't going on all at the same time.
Right.
Because whenever I go down to the King Memorial, I need to talk to you about that too. Like I always tell you, I always get something. And so the last time I was down there, I asked the security guard if I could do some volunteer work down there on my free time, to help keep his church up. And he said, yeah, so he gave me a flyer. So that's what I'm going to be using a lot of my free time down there to help, keep Dr. King's church up, to show my gratitude, because you you know what happened to me when I went down there first time.
Yeah.
And it's like every time I go down there, I always get something. I love going down there. I love talking to the elders. Now, what I'm going to do Thursday, you remember last time I went, I didn't go, but this coming Thursday, I'm going to go down there and I'm going to go to his house where he was born and raised at. I want to go in there. And this is not a worship of King or anything. It's just that there's a presence down there that has been helping me, and I think it's the humility, it's the forgiveness principle, which I still struggle with because I still, to me, just simply letting people go works for me.
Right.
You know, but it's actually a lot to do out here. It's just that, like I say, being in Las Vegas for the past 32 years with all that noise and the celebrities and the gambling, the drinking, and all of that stuff being around you. Despite if you are involved in that lifestyle or not, you really don't understand how that actually has affected you until you go someplace else where none of that's happening. And then you're walking around and you're dealing with some very simple, slow people. And these people are not slow by choice. It's just that the um, the state of Georgia is not as up to date as Nevada and other places like that. So it's not that the people are slow. It's just that the city is the social arena. You might as well say
Right.
it's not up to date in a whole lot of areas, and it's only because morally Georgia is much better than Nevada morally. And so once you notice that, you understand that even though you've been in Las Vegas for 32 years, it very wasn't a good thing for your soul and your mind and everything. You know. So when it all boils down to it, I I know that staying here would be much better for me. You know, because it's more slower and it's more quiet and it's more me. You know, because I'm slow. You know, my mind is sharp and everything, but that's only because of the place, you know, different places that I've been. But out here, um, I actually, you know, there's times I can see myself living the rest of my days out here, and then sometimes because of the circumstances, sometimes I just don't want to be here no more.
Right.
So, like you say, I'm just gonna wait until things start happening. Plus, Holyfield is he wants to get back in shape.
For
Start
what?
just get back in shape. You know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I'm gonna be down there sparring with him next month. So I'm supposed to be getting paid for that too.
Yeah, I remember you telling me.
So it's just things I have to get I just have to get settled out here. I have to get alone and by myself so I can process all of this. You know, this is a big change for me. It's just that when things do start unraveling out here, it's going to be beneficial that I went through all of these things because to me that's going to put me at a state of humility to where I can be able to be in a state of humbleness to where I can be satisfied living in Georgia. You understand what I'm saying?
Right. Right.
You know, and away from all the wildness of Las Vegas, you know, because I even thought about those nights me and Mike used to go out, you know, the Excalibur and just go get something to eat, you know, even if it was just him and I or him and a couple of people from his entourage, you know. It's almost like even something as simple as him and I going to get our hair cut. And you remember that time I told you we walked in and everybody started laughing because they felt like we both walked the same way?
Yeah, I think I remember you telling me that like a long time ago.
Yeah. You know, when I look back at myself during those times, um, I'm like, I'm that's not me no more. That's not me no more. Because it's almost like you are friends with Mike Tyson, and so when you're out in the public, um, you feel better. You thinking you feeling better about yourself and who you are, but that's not the case. Once you get to a state of where I'm at and you reflect back, it's simply because you really didn't feel too good about yourself. That confidence only came with the fact that you were walking with Mike Tyson.
Right.
I mean, that's where all of that came from. So that's another reason why all of this happened. So me being out here has primarily a whole lot to do with me being made to be humble, especially considering everything that I went through in Las Vegas. I didn't provoke anything, but everything happened to me, and so now I come out here, and it's starting off the same way. And so what it's telling me is that you just need to just get off to yourself and just leave everybody alone, and just go from there, pretty much. All right, man. I'm gonna get me some shut eye. It's almost 2 o'clock
No,
out here.
you said you gotta go in tomorrow. I know you off Thursday though.
Yeah, I'm off Thursday night. So
Oh, okay, okay. Well, we'll have another conversation. I'll call you then sometime when I get off that way we can, because there's so much stuff we got to cover, man. We really didn't talk about power, and you know, And then some of the subjects that we touched on tonight, or what, as far as like what we talking about, money and just being content or whatever, with what you got going on. Despite even if it don't make money, I want to go in more on that,
Oh, most definitely, most definitely, because that's very important. You know, that's very important because that's pretty much the change that I see. I put it like this: that's the growth that I see myself going through.
Right,
You know, I see myself going through that. You know, and it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. You know, to accept humility. You know, well, first accept humbleness. You know, and then once you accept humbleness and you start living your life rooted in humbleness, then that's when you're moving in humility.
right,
You know, but the only way that you're going to be able to grow from there, and in order to maintain it, you can't be in any environment to where you're surrounded by people that don't mean you no good.
right.
You know, you have to get off of yourself in order to grow. You know, that's just like a flower. You know, a flower can't grow in a field to where there's a whole lot of activity going on. It has to be put in an area where it has its own privacy, where it doesn't have to worry about nobody stepping on it or rolling on it or anything like that. That's the only way you're going to grow. You can't
Yep,
grow.
and perfect tranquility and solitude.
Yeah, I mean you can't grow in an environment that is manipulative and insidiously hostile. You know, and simply because you're able to perceive it, you know, because you've been not only you've been living long enough in order to recognize it. It's just that your instinct can pick it up, you know, and simply because your instinct can pick it up and everybody else around you is naive as fuck, you know, and then the next thing you know, oh, you're the one. Okay, well, you know what? I'll be the one, and I'll be the one to get my ass up out of here too.
Right.
You know, because there's no growth where I'm at right now. It's nothing but chaos and bullshit. Yep. But like yeah, just give me a call Thursday, man. But that's why when I tell people I lost everything, I don't think people understand what that means. You know, here's a man who gave up everything and lost everything, and he's in an environment he doesn't know anything about. But all at the same time, this is the type of man he still ain't gonna take no shit either.
Right.
You know, people think they got the upper hand, you know, because you in a place you don't know anything about, or you up under their roof, or whatever the case may be. You know, they think that you're gonna bow down. Well, maybe the average man would, but I'm not the average man. You know, I hate to disappoint
Right.
you. You know, I'm far from average, far from it. Yep. But I want to talk about uh, that whole pit bull thing Thursday too, because man, that was something else. When I was reading myself when I was walking um, after that whole thing happened, you know. Then I reflected back. I'm like, I told this thing to attack me.
Right.
You know, I got down on one knee. I said, come on, bring it. And it ran right up, and I caught it by the throat. Sure did. Started strangling it, picked it up, bang, slammed it real hard.
You enjoyed it, and I think you enjoyed it a little too much. That's probably what made you question that.
Hmm. And you know, pit bulls, and see, this wasn't no little pit bull. It's like a medium-sized pit bull. It's one of the muscle-bound pit bulls. And you know, most pit bulls can take a whole lot of pressure. But the way I slammed this dog, man, that dog looked up at me and kind of stumbled sideways and just ran right off. And I didn't move. I stood right there and watched it run off. And I'm like, whoa. that was intense. All right, man. I'll touch bases with you. Like I said, don't thing I can think of right now is that Unforgivable Blackness documentary.
Okay, so that and How High.
Yeah, and whatever other documentary you think I might like, just go ahead and send it.
Okay. All right, man. I'll keep that in mind. I haven't really been just watching documentaries other than like I said, I'm gonna start on that Malcolm X or whatever this week. But now I haven't really. But if I do find something, I'll definitely email you.
Okay, but as soon as you can, just watch this documentary, man, because it's very informative, very
Oh,
informative.
once I do, we'll go in on it. I know
Oh,
I'll probably watch at least probably 2 episodes by Thursday so we can talk about it.
okay.
All right, brother. Love you, man.
Love you too, man. It's good we caught up at least a little bit.